Hello and welcome back. My name is Jack B. And as always, thank you for viewing my video. The topic of this episode will be migrants and immigration. I looked at the history of migration and immigration to this portion of North America that is today the U.S. It's a long journey and has many interesting aspects. I don't want to lose the main topics of this topic with the volume of information that follows. The main points are: number one, the U.S. needs migrants and immigrants. Number two, immigration laws need to be enforced. Three, migrants and immigrants need to support the Constitution and American ideals. Number four, criminals are not welcome. Number five, illegals will be deported no matter what. And number six, somewhere in our family history, we all came to the U.S., our America, as foreigners. Before we get into current immigration topics, I'd like to start at a high level at the very beginning of migration to this country. The flow of migration to North America started tens of thousands of years ago. We, the present day people, aren't the first humans to arrive on this piece of land called the U.S. The initial migration started somewhere between 15 and 30,000 years ago, when the first humans migrated to North America from Asia through Siberia and across the Bering Strait, a land bridge that existed during the last ice age. These early migrants are often referred to as, and I'm not sure if this term is politically correct, Paleo-Indians. They dispersed throughout North and South America. Now we can jump forward in time to around 1000 AD, when Norse explorers, including Vikings, reached North America and established settlements in Newfoundland. Later, European colonization began in the 15th century with the arrival of explorers and settlers from various European powers. Portugal settled Brazil from 1500 through 1533. They also established fishing outposts in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Spain arrived in Mexico in 1519. Spain also established early settlements in Florida in 1610. France had early settlements in Canada, such as Quebec, in 1608. England had established settlements in Jamestown in 1607 and in Plymouth in 1620. This marked the beginning of a period of extensive European colonization. The migration of European settlers to North America was driven by factors such as economic opportunities for countries as well as individuals, religious freedom, no persecution, and strategic territorial expansion. Obtaining numbers for some groups of people to get a picture of the population at various time periods was relatively straightforward, but it was nebulous to get numbers for other groups of people such as African and Native Americans. As I understand it, there were approximately 12.5 million Africans brought to North and South America during the transatlantic slave trade between the 16th and 19th centuries. Of these, around 10.7 million survived the Middle Passage and disembarked in the Americas. Approximately 388,000 to 450,000 arrived in North America. The remainder went to the Caribbean and South America. The majority, 4.8 million, went to Brazil, and approximately 4.7 million went to the Caribbean. There was an estimated 250,000 Native Americans east of the Mississippi in the 1770s. Hopefully, it is a good baseline to reference for population growth of the U.S. from 1774 to 1865. In 1774, the estimated European population of the 13 colonies was around 2.4 million people. There was an estimated 450,000 African slaves in the 13 states, and an estimated 250,000 Native Americans that lived east of the Mississippi River, according to the Museum of American Revolution. In 1865, the estimated European population of the 34 states was approximately 35.7 million people. The census of 1860 recorded the population of African descendants to be approximately 3.9 million, and an estimated 250 to 500,000 Native Americans. From 1774 to 1865, the population increased an estimated 38.98%. There was a European increase of 32.6 million people, an increase of 3.4 million people for African descent, and a Native American population increase of 250,000 people. During this time, federal immigration laws didn't exist. In 1790, an immigration law was enacted that defined some uniform rules for citizenship. There were two significant years for immigration. In 1875, the Supreme Court ruled that the federal government was responsible for immigration regulation. And in 1891, Congress enacted an Immigration Act that established federal control over immigration. Between 1774 and 1865, the majority of immigrants to the United States came from Northern and Western Europe, particularly Ireland, Germany, and Great Britain. Around one-third of all immigrants during this period were from Ireland, with a surge in the 1840s due to the Great Famine. German immigrants were also a substantial group, with many settling in the Midwest, particularly in cities like Milwaukee, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. Immigration from England, Scotland, and Wales continued, with some settling in the backcountry of Appalachia and the Piedmont. There were also smaller but notable groups from other parts of Europe, including Scandinavia and various Germanic states. Immigration laws in the United States had been enacted throughout its history. These acts have shaped immigration policies, including the establishment of quotas, preferences for certain groups, and restrictions based on nationality and race. The laws were enacted to support America's needs. There were approximately 13 significant U.S. immigration laws enacted from 1790 to 1990. I'll just mention a few. In 1790, the Naturalization Act established the first uniform rules for citizenship. The Act of 1864 aimed to boost immigration during the Civil War, and the Act of 1870 extended naturalization to aliens of African nativity. The Hart-Celler Act of 1965 abolished the national origin quota system, creating a preference for family reunification and skilled workers. The Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986 provided amnesty to millions of undocumented immigrants and made it illegal to hire undocumented workers. The 1990 Immigration Act increased the number of available visas and created new categories for skilled workers. The United States currently operates under a quota system for immigration, primarily defined by the Immigration and Nationality Act. The INA generally limits the number of permanent immigrant visas to 675,000 per year, with some exceptions. These visas are allocated across family sponsorships, employment bases, and diversity categories. Family-sponsored visas have an annual limit of 226,000. Employment-based visas have an annual limit of 140,000. A smaller number of visas are reserved for diversity immigrants, intended to diversify the immigration population. There is no specific number. The INA does not place a limit on the number of visas for U.S. citizens' immediate relatives, spouses, parents, and children under 21. The INA also sets an annual number of refugees to be admitted, which is predetermined by the President in consultation with the Congress. It's important to note that these general limits for visas and the actual number of visas issued can fluctuate due to various factors, including unused visas from the previous year and the specific allocation formulas outlined in the INA. The estimated population of the U.S. in 2024 was approximately 340 million people. There is an estimated 9.7 million Native Americans, including those who identify as American Indian or Alaskan. The U.S. has been collecting data on immigration since 1820. Early records are incomplete, especially for those immigrants entering overland from Canada and Mexico. According to the Cato Institute, over 100 million immigrants have come to the United States since the founding in 1776. Not too long ago, there was a lot of news coverage on ICE raids and ICE protests. It's my opinion the news agencies that are covering the protests are not objective. Both liberal and conservative media are covering and exploiting their points of view, using snapshots and partial video clips. In addition, the protesters themselves have their own agendas. Some are legitimate, some are not. There are some internal agitators and some external paid agitators. The news media has made the protests into a reality show. In the next episode, part 2, we'll look at immigration-migrant dynamics that have occurred since 1942. Well, these are my thoughts for today, and again, whether you agree or not, please confirm the information presented. Thank you, and until next time, take care. Bye. Ooh.